More than 80% of Earth's ocean has never been explored. But here's the part nobody tells you. Some parts of the ocean aren't unexplored. They're restricted. Not because of sea monsters, not because of aliens, because down there, the rules change. There are zones where civilian ships can't enter, divers aren't allowed to go near the seafloor, and even research teams get turned away. And the scary part is, these places aren't hidden by maps. They're hidden by pressure, silence, and permission. So what exactly is being protected beneath the waves? And why are we not allowed to see it? Why the ocean is still unknown. We like to think we live in a mapped world. Satellites orbit our planet every day. We can zoom into streets from space. We photograph distant galaxies billions of light years away. And yet, the largest environment on Earth remains mostly unknown. The ocean covers more than 70% of our planet, but humans have explored less than 20% of it in detail. That means most of Earth is still a mystery. And here's the strange part. We've explored space better than we've explored our own oceans. We've landed rovers on Mars. We've mapped the surface of the moon. We've sent probes beyond the edge of the solar system. But when it comes to the deep ocean, we hesitate. Why? Because space is empty. But the ocean is hostile. In space, there's no pressure pushing in on you. In the ocean, pressure is relentless. For every 10 meters you go down, the pressure increases by 1 atmosphere. At just 100 meters, your body would already struggle. At 1,000 meters, a human would be crushed instantly. Steel bends, glass shatters, electronics fail. The deeper you go, the less forgiving the environment becomes. Darkness takes over. Sunlight doesn't travel far underwater. By about 200 meters, light begins to fade. Colors disappear one by one. Red vanishes first, then orange, then yellow. By 1,000 meters, it's complete darkness. No sunrise, no sunset, just blackness. And in that darkness, your brain starts to behave differently. Humans rely on vision. We panic when we can't see. The ocean knows that. In space, we can communicate across millions of miles. But underwater, radio waves don't travel well. GPS doesn't work. Signals weaken. Data moves slowly. At extreme depths, you are completely cut off. No calls, no messages, no rescue on standby. If something goes wrong, help isn't minutes away. It might never arrive. The human factor. This is where the ocean becomes dangerous in a different way. Not physically, psychologically. The human brain evolved on land. We need air. We need light. We need orientation. Underwater, everything is reversed. Up and down lose meaning. Sound bends. Distance lies to your eyes. Even trained divers report a creeping sense of unease, a feeling of being watched, of being small. The ocean doesn't attack you, it overwhelms you. We've mapped Mars better than our own oceans. This isn't a metaphor, it's a fact. High-resolution maps of Mars exist for nearly the entire planet. But for Earth's ocean floor, large areas are still mapped with blurry, low-detail data. Not because we don't want to explore, but because it's incredibly hard. Mapping the ocean requires ships that cost millions per day, sonar systems that disturb marine life, robots that often don't come back, and even then, you only see fragments. The ocean doesn't reveal itself easily. The first realization. So when people hear that parts of the ocean are restricted, they imagine secrets. But the truth is simpler and scarier. Some places are unknown because we can't reach them safely. Others are restricted because once we did reach them, we realized we shouldn't stay. And that's where the story really begins. Because beyond this point, the ocean stops being unexplored and starts becoming off-limits. Real restricted ocean zones. When people hear the word restricted, they imagine secrets, hidden creatures, cover-ups, conspiracies. But the real reason some ocean zones are restricted is actually far more practical and far more serious. because these areas aren't dangerous due to what lives there. They're dangerous because of what humans do there. Military test ranges beneath the sea. Across the world's oceans, there are large areas marked as military testing zones. These are not myths. They are publicly acknowledged regions. Navies use these waters to test submarine navigation systems, underwater weapons, sonar technology, autonomous underwater vehicles. In these zones, civilian ships are warned to stay away, not because something is hidden, but because something is active. Explosive tests, high-energy sonar pulses, unmanned machines moving silently underwater. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time could be fatal. So the ocean is closed off, not permanently, but carefully. Sonar testing areas. One of the most restricted activities underwater is sonar testing. Sonar works by sending out powerful sound waves that bounce off objects in the ocean. It's how submarines see in the dark. But these sound waves are intense, strong enough to disorient whales, damage marine life, interfere with navigation systems. Because of this, sonar testing zones are controlled tightly. Research vessels are kept out. Diving is forbidden. Even fishing boats are warned away. These zones don't look dangerous from the surface, but underwater, they are loud, violent, and unpredictable. Nuclear submarine routes. Some of the most restricted paths in the ocean aren't areas, they're routes. Nuclear submarines don't announce themselves. They move silently, following pre-planned underwater corridors. These submarines carry nuclear reactors, strategic weapons, national deterrence systems. For safety and security, their routes are protected, not publicly advertised, not open to civilian traffic, because even a minor collision underwater could be catastrophic. These restrictions aren't about secrecy. They're about preventing disaster. Undersea surveillance systems. There is another layer most people never think about. The ocean is monitored, not visually, but acoustically. For decades, countries have used underwater listening systems to track movement in the deep. These systems don't spy on creatures. They listen for submarine engines, unusual vibrations, changes in underwater sound patterns. These networks stretch across ocean floors like invisible webs, and around them, restrictions exist, not because of secrets, but because interference could break the system, and breaking the system means losing awareness in the deep. And of why this feels scary. Here's the reason these zones unsettle people. They look empty. From the surface, there's nothing to see, just open ocean. But below, there are machines moving, sound waves firing, systems listening, an entire layer of human activity hidden beneath the waterline. That contrast between calm surface and controlled chaos below creates fear. Not imaginary fear, but realistic unease. There's, the reality check. None of this is science fiction. None of this requires belief. These zones exist because the ocean amplifies mistakes. Underwater accidents are unrecoverable. Rescue is nearly impossible. So access is limited. Rules are enforced. And certain parts of the ocean become places we don't casually explore, not because we're curious, but because we're cautious. Transition to the next layer. And yet, military zones aren't the only restricted areas. Some parts of the ocean aren't controlled by governments at all. They're controlled by something far older: physics, pressure, and chemistry. Because beyond human rules, the ocean has rules of its own, and breaking those rules comes at a cost. Underwater cables and why they're protected. When people imagine the internet, they picture satellites, signals bouncing through space, data flying above our heads. But that's not how the internet actually works. In reality, almost 95% of the world's internet traffic travels through underwater cables, not satellites, cables. And the hidden backbone of the internet. Beneath the oceans, lying quietly on the seafloor, are hundreds of thousands of miles of fiber optic cables. Each cable is about as thick as a garden hose. Inside it, hair-thin glass fibers, carrying light pulses at near light speed. Every message you send, every video you watch, every financial transaction, it all passes through the ocean. And 40. Why the ocean? Because water is stable. No storms, no temperature swings, no human traffic. The seafloor is the safest place to run the nervous system of civilization, at least in theory. What happens when a cable is cut? Here's the part most people don't realize. If a major underwater cable is damaged, entire regions can go offline. Not slower, offline. In 2008, a single damaged cable in the Mediterranean disrupted internet access for millions of people across the Middle East and South Asia. Banks stalled, airlines froze, emergency communications lagged, and that was just one cable. Some countries rely on only a handful of these connections. Cut the wrong one, and an entire nation goes dark. Why these cables are protected? Because of that risk, areas around major undersea cables are heavily restricted. Fishing is limited. Anchors are banned. Diving is forbidden. Not because something secret is happening, but because accidental damage can be as devastating as intentional sabotage. An anchor dragging across the seabed, a ship grounding in the wrong place, a submersible getting too close. That's all it takes. Why divers are banned near cables? Professional divers aren't allowed near most cable routes, even researchers. Why? Because underwater, even a small disturbance matters. Cables are laid carefully, often buried under sediment. Digging exposes them. Currents shift them. Pressure weakens them. And repairs? Repairs are slow, expensive, and risky. Fixing a cable can take weeks, sometimes months. During that time, traffic is rerouted, systems strain, and failures cascade. So prevention is everything. The psychological twist. Here's what makes this unsettling. We live our digital lives thinking the internet is everywhere, invisible, wireless, untouchable. But in reality, it's fragile. It runs through narrow glass threads, lying in darkness, under miles of water. One mistake on the ocean floor can ripple across the world above. That's why these zones feel different. They aren't guarded by soldiers. They're guarded by silence. The ocean as a critical system. This changes how we see the ocean. It's not just nature. It's infrastructure. It's highways for data, lifelines for economies, arteries of modern life. And when something becomes that important, access becomes restricted, not to hide it, but to protect it. Transition forward. But cables aren't the only reason. Parts of the ocean are off limits. Some zones are restricted, not because they connect us, but because they can kill us instantly, without warning. Because next, we're going to places where the ocean itself becomes the threat, not technology, not governments, but physics. Places too dangerous to explore, not monsters, just physics. By this point, one thing becomes clear. Some parts of the ocean aren't restricted by governments. They're restricted by nature itself. No warning signs, no fences, just invisible death zones. Brine pools, underwater lakes of death. Imagine finding a lake at the bottom of the ocean, not a metaphor. A real lake with a visible shoreline, waves, and a surface you can't cross. These are called brine pools. They're formed when underground salt deposits dissolve, creating water so salty, so dense, that it sinks below normal seawater. The result? An underwater lake, inside the ocean. But this water is toxic. No oxygen, no life. Fish that swim into it don't struggle. They don't escape. They stop instantly. To a human diver, entering a brine pool would mean immediate oxygen loss, nervous system failure, no chance of rescue. That's why no one dives into them, not even remotely. Robots observe from a distance, Because once you cross that invisible boundary, there is no coming back. Deep sea rivers water that drags you down. Now imagine something even stranger. A river flowing beneath the ocean. Deep sea rivers are dense currents that move along the seafloor like underwater highways. They don't look violent. No waves, no noise, but they move slowly, relentlessly. If a diver or vehicle gets caught in one of these currents, they don't float back up. They are dragged sideways, downward, into deeper darkness. And unlike surface currents, there is no visual reference. No up, no down, just motion. People think drowning is about panic. In the deep ocean, it's about disorientation. You don't even realize you're being pulled until it's too late. Toxic zones with no oxygen. Some areas of the ocean are completely devoid of oxygen. These are known as anoxic zones. Nothing breathes here. No fish, no plants, no bacteria, just chemical silence. These zones form naturally from a mix of depth, temperature, and chemistry, and they are expanding. In an anoxic zone, engines corrode faster, sensors fail, life support systems struggle. For humans, entering one would be fatal within minutes, not because of pressure, but because there is nothing to breathe. Even machines avoid these regions. Why this feels like horror? Here's why these places unsettle us. There's no enemy, no creature chasing you, no teeth, no claws, just invisible boundaries that kill without resistance. The ocean doesn't attack. It allows you to make a mistake, and then it ends you. That's far more terrifying than any monster story. The illusion of safety. From the surface, the ocean looks calm, peaceful, blue, but beneath that calm surface are layers of chemistry and physics that humans were never designed to survive. We evolved on land. We are guests here, temporary ones, and in some places, the ocean doesn't even pretend to welcome us. The real reason these places are off-limits, these zones aren't forbidden because we're curious. They're forbidden because we're fragile. One wrong calculation, one sensor error, one misjudged boundary, and rescue is impossible. That's why some places remain untouched, not unexplored, untouchable. Transition to the next truth. And yet, despite all these dangers, humans keep pushing deeper because there are still questions we haven't answered, and because sometimes curiosity overrides fear. But soon, we reached a realization. Some depths aren't just dangerous, they're final. And next, we're going to the deepest places on Earth, where humans have gone and barely returned. Why some places may never be explored. By now, a question becomes unavoidable. If humans are so curious, if technology keeps advancing, why haven't we explored everything already? Why are there still places we simply don't go? The answer isn't fear. It's cost, risk, and reality. The cost problem. Exploring the deep ocean is one of the most expensive activities on Earth. A single deep-sea expedition can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars per day. A specialized research ship, highly trained crews, custom-built submersibles, constant maintenance, and every hour underwater is money burning away. For governments and institutions, the question isn't, can we go? It's, what do we gain by going? Because unlike space exploration, there's no glory shot, no flag, no dramatic landing, just darkness and data. The risk is absolute. In most dangerous jobs, mistakes can be corrected. In the deep ocean, mistakes are final. There's no emergency landing, no helicopter rescue, no second attempt. If a cable snaps, if a hatch fails, if pressure breaches the hull, there is zero margin for error. That's why insurance companies often refuse to cover deep-sea missions. The risk isn't high, it's total. No return on investment. Here's a hard truth that rarely gets said out loud. Most deep ocean exploration does not pay off. There's no oil boom waiting, no lost cities full of gold, no resources worth the cost. We find strange life, geological data, chemical samples, important for science, yes, but not profitable. And in a world driven by budgets, projects without returns, I don't last long. Curiosity alone doesn't get funded forever. Let the robots go first. So, humans made a decision. If it's too dangerous for us, we send machines, robotic submersibles, autonomous underwater vehicles, remote-operated cameras, and even then, they fail. Robots get crushed. Signals are lost. Vehicles vanish without explanation. Entire missions end with nothing but silence. When even machines can't survive, humans don't follow. The psychological barrier. There's also something deeper at work. Humans need a sense of control. In space, you float. In the ocean, you're trapped. Above you, miles of water. Around you, pressure. Below you, nothing but deeper darkness. Astronauts train for isolation, but deep-sea explorers train for claustrophobia. That mental strain alone limits how far we can go. Choosing not to know. At some point, humanity made a quiet choice. Some places are worth studying, some are worth protecting, and some are worth leaving alone. Not because they're mysterious, but because the cost of knowing is higher than the benefit. The uncomfortable truth. We like stories where humans conquer nature, but the deep ocean tells a different story. It reminds us that technology has limits, curiosity has boundaries, survival comes first. We don't explore everything because we can't afford to. Not financially, not physically, not psychologically. Transition to the final realization. So when you hear that parts of the ocean remain unexplored, it's not because humans are lazy. It's because we're realistic. Some places don't welcome visitors, and some questions aren't meant to be answered by us. Which brings us to the final truth, the one that ties everything together, the real truth. After everything we've seen, the pressure, the darkness, the restricted zones, the places even machines avoid, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. The ocean isn't hiding secrets from us. It's hiding limits. Limits of technology, limits of money, limits of the human body, limits of the human mind. We like to believe that if something exists, we can conquer it. But the ocean doesn't work that way. It doesn't challenge us directly. It doesn't threaten us. It simply waits. Waits for pressure to crush steel. Waits for silence to erase signals. Waits for curiosity to make a mistake. And when that mistake happens, there is no second chance, no rescue, no warning, no forgiveness. That's why some places remain untouched, not unexplored, untouched, because knowing what's there comes at a cost we're not willing to pay. And maybe that's the point. Maybe the ocean exists to remind us of something we've forgotten, that humans are powerful, but not in control. We don't dominate this planet. We survive on it. And beneath the waves, far beyond light and sound, the ocean quietly proves it. Every single day, the ocean doesn't fear us. We fear the ocean. And deep down, we know why.